our Malaga Fund and co-production event dedicated to promoting Latin American co-production. MAF is an activity that takes place in the setting of MAFID, the industry zone of Malaga Film Festival. Actually, MAF is a meeting point for the Latin American audiovisual industry, a space for communication designed to build the future of the sector with the aim to develop ideas with the collaboration of all stakeholders. MAF is conceived as a co-production and market point, a setting to boost the growth of the project, international co-production and networking to increase the possibilities of financing. In this edition, we have created a new space called Learning and Training, focused on distribution, marketing, and strengthening the Latin American cinema brand. MAF offers an alliance to the internationalization of the new Latin American productions. We wish to expose the talent of young Latin American filmmakers, connect them directly with the financing networks, and obtain the necessary professional support. For this work, we are very fortunate, really, we are very fortunate to have the collaboration of the following institutions who I want to thank for their confidence and support. Instituto de la Cinematografía y de las Artes Audiovisuales de España, ICAA. Many thanks, Beatriz Navas. Conferencia de Autoridades Audiovisuales y Cinematográficas de Iberoamérica, CAACI. Welcome, Jaime Tenorio. Ibermedia Program, Federación Iberoamericana de Productores Cinematográficos y Audiovisuales, FICA. And EABE, European Audiovisual Entrepreneurs. And we also benefit from the collaboration of the following entities: Fundación del Nuevo Cine Latinoamericano, DAFO de Perú, Film Market Hub, Bolivia Lab, Cinema 226, Brasil Cinemundi, DOP Leipzig, LatinCinema.com, and Sanfic. Once again, thank you for your support, and thank you all for attending and participating in this project that all of us here in the Festival de Málaga have worked on with such passion. Como decía, bienvenidos todos al MAF, y ahora me gustaría pasar la palabra. I would like to pass the word to Beatriz Navas, directora general del ICAA, y después a Jaime Tenorio, secretario general de la CAACI. Beatriz, cuando quieras, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Juan Antonio. Good afternoon to the participants who are in Europe. Good morning to the participants from overseas. First of all, I want to acknowledge the Malaga Festival Fan and Co-Production event for keeping active a bridge between Latin America and Europe in the co-production field with the involvement of creators, professionals, companies, and private and public organizations like the international funds that are taking part in this roundtable today. Welcome to you all. We are eager to hear your presentations and know more about your organizations and line of support. We all know that carrying out production is still really difficult, a miracle on many occasions, a kind of titanic quest. And companies still suffer significant problems in obtaining private financing, and with another difficulty to access bank financing and for obtaining sufficient profits to take on the risk of developing new projects, and above all, developing ambitious projects, and well, as it has always been. And for these reasons, the support from the public sectors and international funds, such as those present today, is essential to guarantee diverse cultural offers to the citizens and to maintain an economically dynamic value chains while fostering the incorporations of new companies, new voices, new professionals, and the promotion of talent. And in these times when the market is moving towards concentration on the exploitation of the audiovisual productions, it really matters not to lose the orientation of our role, which must be governed by providing supports to the independent sectors, as well as supporting creators and authors, since they are the original source for the relationship with the audience. Also the promotion and strengthening of cultural and creative industries, which must take the advantage of the opportunities of a global market and the possibilities of interaction created by the digital culture and the digital economy, and the creation of mechanisms in order to avoid or correct the currently existing imbalances in the audiovisual market. And also in these terms, laboratories like these ones, like Mafith, like the ones that go in Malaga film festivals, are becoming increasingly valuable for business networking, but also as forums that offer tools and training to face new challenges of a constantly evolving sector. In this sense, I really find helpful the 2021 learning and training program of the MAF that selected projects will go through. As I know, in this edition, professionals will receive training from international experts on how to sell a project in post-pandemic times, creation and interaction with new audiences, or sustainable business models that are really important nowadays. All this contributes to generation industrial muscle from the side of the producers and to providing greater solidity and maturity to the projects that pass through the program. On the other hand, from my point of view as president of the Iberoamérica program, the fund that supports co-production in the Iberoamérica region, I'm glad to know that in this 2021 edition, the MAF includes Spanish and Portuguese projects for the first time. It is positive that it evolves from a forum of Latin American projects to an Ibero-American forum. From now on, this will open the door to work together, Programa Ibermedia and MAF align objectives, and this shift will also allow for mutual reinforcement. And to finish, I want to point out that since 2020, the Spanish Film Institute has an endowment for minority co-productions through our call for selective aid, a policy that allows us to support minority co-productions with a contribution of up to 300,000 euros. It's a measure of reciprocity with the funds from other countries that support majority Spanish co-productions, but also a way to support Spanish producers who embark on foreign productions, and at the same time aims to foster stable international partnerships. And to make the story short, we have selected scheme for author independent experimental films with a contribution up to 800,000 euros. There are 50% of objective criteria and 50% of points given by a 14-person commission. And we have a general scheme for, let's say, industrial films with a contribution up to 1.4 million euros. And in this case, 100% of the points are objectives. So I now give the floor to Jaime Tenorio, Executive Secretary of the Ibero-American Conference of Cinematographic Authorities, CAACI, and Director of Cinematography at the Ministry of Culture of Republic of Colombia.
Thank you, Beatriz, and thank you, Juan Antonio. Muy buenos días y buenas tardes. Good afternoon in Europe and good morning in Latin America. It's a pleasure to be able to talk to you from Bogota. A special greetings for the funds and producers that are here in this roundtable. On behalf of the CAACI, I want to thank the Festival of Málaga, an event committed to the diversity of the identities of our region and the Ibero-American audiovisual industry. From the CAACI, We are aware that diversity implies differences in the level of industrialization of the activity in each of the members' countries of the conference. However, today we can say that many states have regulatory frameworks that strengthen cinematography development, establishing the priorities of public policy according to the level of sectoral development, according also to the needs and possibilities. Today, we have various funds that support the financing of production, distribution, and exhibition. These public funds are especially important in this moment of crisis. We know that we need to work harder in this incentive for distribution and exhibition. We must continue working and dreaming of that European American common market that strengthens our cinematography and our stories, especially in this moment when we all are audiovisual consumers. Currently, the Iberoamérica program is one of the main mechanisms to promote co-production in a region. We have recently seen the creation of the Film Fund in Cuba, a new film law in Paraguay, and another one in Peru. Most of the Latin American countries right now have regulatory frameworks that are very important to impulse our cinematographies. Spaces like this in Malaga offers a very important space because it allows our industry players to network, exchange knowledge, commercialize films, and get closer to our audiences. Although we have very important achievements in the regulatory frameworks, now in our countries we have new challenges, such as the issue for the new players as the OTTs. We are also promoting in CAACI an agenda that leads our countries to think about a more inclusive filmmaking development. Así que nada, quería como dar un saludo muy especial a todos los fondos y a los productores iberoamericanos. Muchas gracias de verdad por esta invitación de Málaga, que ha sido de verdad un promotor y un puente entre Iberoamérica. Como les decía también ahora en inglés, casi la mayoría de nuestros países en la región, hoy tenemos unos fondos muy importantes, especialmente ahora que necesitamos de esos fondos públicos para promover nuestras cinematografías en un momento de mucha crisis. No podemos desfallecer desde las autoridades cinematográficas, tenemos que seguir fortaleciendo nuestras historias en un momento en que cada vez más somos más audiovisuales, en que tenemos unas plataformas que concentran a veces también la circulación del audiovisual. Estamos viendo un momento de muchos retos, no solamente por la crisis generada por la pandemia, la cadena de valor se ha alterado y desde la CAACI, digamos, estamos viendo cada uno de nuestros países cómo promover la creación, la producción y la circulación, también cómo ser mucho más incluyentes con unos nuevos actores también, de ver temas de equidad de género, de ver los temas de nuestras comunidades afro e indígenas en nuestros territorios, en mirar todos los temas poblacionales y territoriales y cómo descentralizar la producción y la creación en nuestros territorios. Nuevamente, muchísimas gracias a Juan Antonio, a Anabel por este espacio y por seguir trabajando en este puente entre Iberoamérica, América Latina y Europa.
Thank you so much, Jaime, Beatriz, and Juan Antonio. Now is the turn of Anabel Aramburu, our MAFIS coordinator. Bienvenida, Anabel.
My audio, well.
Anabel.
Excuse me. Okay, now?
Perfect.
Many thanks to ICAA and CAACI for being part of this event, and to Festival de Málaga for believing and betting for the benefit of the Ibero-American audiovisual industry. Now is the moment to open the first activity of our section Learning and Training with the roundtable, a map of synergies to benefit co-productions with Latin America, financial funds and public support. This table will be moderated by Luis Ángel Ramírez, He's a Spanish producer with an extensive experience in co-production with Latin American, as well as a faculty member and collaborator of MAF as a selector and tutor of projects. Also, we like to introduce the funds that will participate in this table. Per-Erik Gilsbeck, project manager of Sorfond. Karin Schockbeiler, deputy CEO of Film Fund Luxembourg. Isona Mela, coordinator of World Cinema Fund. Mathieu Fournet, director for international affairs of CNC Centre National du Cinéma. And I want to apologize in the name of Meriem Mesragua, Grand Senior Coordinator of Doha Film Festival. She has to cancel due to a personal emergency. We only wish her to be good everything. So, Luis Ángel, now we can start.
Hola, buenas tardes, bienvenidas y bienvenidos a todos los asistentes a la mesa. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thank you to the speakers for their participation in this roundtable. We are in a very special moment from the point of view of film production and creation. Public and private funds will be very important to guarantee the diversity of the editorial lines. The objective of the table is to better understand the editorial line, the procedures and the synergies that some of these funds may have with each other, and to learn about other viable financing channels for co-production with Latin America. I'm going to ask generic questions about the funds, and I would like to answer to the panel, to the roundtable, to the members of the roundtable, ask the generic questions about the funds, and I would like you to answer all those present in the order in which Annabelle have presented you. Of course, at the end of the table, we'll have a time for questions, and the audience have the chat open to start two questions that will transfer to our guest at the end of the table. First of all, I would like to talk about editorial line. Which editorial line represented each fund? What element of a project do you value most essentially? Creative, financing, exploitation, international circulation of the film? Which elements are important for the funds? Per, perhaps you can begin.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me on the panel. So my name is Per-Erik Gilsbeck. I represent Sorfond, as already mentioned. So our editorial line of Sorfond, always a bit tricky to give a very concrete answer to that, because we are a fund open for both documentary and fiction and animation. So, and it's a vast region of eligible countries that can apply. So we have, let's say, quite an eclectic collection of projects that we have supported in the past. But yeah, we look for art house content. We look for projects with a strong local identity, but with a universal appeal. To more sort of pinpoint what we look for is difficult in words. So for those of you listening to this, wanting to know more, I would rather recommend you go on our website and click on the menu for supported projects, and sort of try and get an overview of what we have supported in the past. That will give you somewhat a clue of what we're aiming for. When it comes to sort of our evaluation of the projects, we mainly look at the script during the application process. We look at the script, which is the most important to us. And then we're also very much interested in watching, looking at previous works of the director. So if it's a debut feature filmmaker, We want to look at previous shorts, and obviously if you have made feature films already, we would like to watch that. But it's mainly the script, which is the most important document in sort of the application process for us. Yeah.
Karin, please.
Hello, I'm Karen from Film Fund Luxembourg. Thanks a lot to the organizers for inviting us to this round table panel. First, I have to say Luxembourg, maybe you know it, it's really a very small country. So we only have one fund, and it's a national fund. We don't have a regional fund. Luxembourg itself is 2,600 square meters long. So it's really tiny, very small. So our fund is a public fund, 100% public fund. We have a selection. We take our decisions from a selection committee. The selection committee is composed by 5 members. We have 4 to 5 committees a year. We are open to every genre. We give support for script writing, for developments, for production and co-production of fiction, documentary, animation, in shorts, features, also TV and serial formats. We also support transmedia, web formats, and also XR, so VR projects. We are open for really every genre. Luxembourg is small, as I said, so we are really like a co-production country. It's for us, so we are used and experienced in minority co-productions. The decision-making process, so as said, is done by a committee, and the evaluation is based on a point grid. So we evaluate the artistic package, that means the story, the script itself, dialogue, the originality of the story, the experience of the director, the experience of the whole artistic team. For this part, we give up to 70 points. Then the financial, the economic and circulation potential, this package we count with 30 points. The minimum that you have to exceed is 70 points all in all to get a support. And our support is based on Luxembourgish spend, on Luxembourg expenses. These expenses can be done via salaries in casting, in technicians, also in services. You don't need to shoot in Luxembourg anymore. We changed that. Before you needed to shoot in Luxembourg, but as said, you have to use Luxembourg crew. If I say Luxembourg, that means also people that live in Luxembourg. It's not only the Luxembourg passport that counts. We have one financial support scheme, and this is since 2 years now is based on this Luxembourgish expenses. Then we have one other scheme that's called Cine World. That is a scheme for films by directors from countries with more limited financial resources. And here our maximum amounts that we can allocate is 200,000 euros based on a maximum budget of 1.5 million for fiction and for animation. And for documentaries, the maximal total budget is 350,000, and the maximum amount that we can give is 55,000. In our normal scheme, what I have to say, the maximum amount that we can allocate for a minority co-production is 1.5 million. And we can give money for projects up to budgets to 10 million. If the total budget is more than 10 million, there are like more conditions attached.
Thank you very much, Corinne. Isona, please.
Hi, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. I'm glad to be part of this roundtable again, and not only just to have the opportunity to share the insights of the World Cinema Fund, but also to learn more about the colleagues of the other funds do. I still think that we are still too few, but well, we try to do the best with the means that we have. Some words about the World Cinema Fund and our editorial line. I wouldn't dare to say that we have editorial line. We support films with a strong artistic profile. We support feature fiction films, documentaries, and everything in between. We don't support quotes of genre or of countries. We just support films to be made and to be seen in big screen. Beyond that, everything is possible. We support filmmakers from Latin America and the Caribbean, Africa, Middle East, Caucasian region, Central Asia, Southeast Asia, and recently we added the Pacific Islands. And we started our activity back in 2004. Our Latin America, for instance, is one region that we know very well, and we have been following up since the beginning. And we have a very strong connection also with filmmakers from the region. Also for us, we support films, the production of films and also the post-production. And for us, it's very important to support the visibility of the film. That's why we started recently with the audience design programs, and we are trying to go more deep into that field. Because we have sometimes the feeling that many films are made, many films are swimming in the market, but they really need to find their own path. And talking about the editorial line, as I've said, we look for films with a strong artistic profile. Of course, we have a look at the treatment, or we have a look at the scripts, but quoting Vincenzo Bugno, the head of the World Cinema Fund, the more scripts we read, the less interested we are, because at the end of the day, we really want to understand how the films are going to be shown, how are they going to look like in the big screen. And that maybe gives you a lead about the way to present the films to the World Cinema Fund. So we pay a lot of attention to the visual concept. We pay a lot of attention to the mood board, and also to the vision of the director. Also, we really want to know about how is the editing, or how will be the camera, or how will be the music, or the silences, or the lack of silences, for example. And of course, we prove again the whole viability of the projects, just checking financing plans, checking budgets, checking co-production agreements, also the trajectory of the director and the profile of producers and all the team involved in the project, because we understand there is a long path to do the film, and many talented are involved with that. On the other hand, lucky news is that through or despite the pandemic, our funds are remaining, and meaning that we can keep on doing our work as usual, having 2 deadlines a year, and supporting, I cannot tell you exactly number, but more or less 20 to 25 projects a year, more or less. So for starters.
Thank you very, very much. Matthew, please.
Hola, buen día a todos. Una palabra en español solamente para saludarlas. Regarding CNC, your question is extremely broad because we do not have just one fund or one scheme. So before I speak about Aide au Cinéma du Monde, which is the fund we have that is clearly opened to South America and international co-production, I just want to be precise, saying that we have schemes in audiovisual and cinema. We have plans, schemes, and fund for writing, for development, for production, for animation, for many genres, whether it's for TV series, documentary, or for long feature films or short features. So if you want to know more, we could do a presentation of all the schemes we have. To be more precise on international co-production, many of the schemes are open, depending a few regulations, but Avance sur Recette, which is our most known national scheme, is also open to international production, providing that the script is in French and that this is a French language production. So globally, what I can say is that France is very open to international co-production. If I go back to the fund I'm representing today, which is Aide au Cinéma du Monde, it's a dedicated fund we have that has been created in 2012. That is open to every country in the world. I would like to specify this. It's not only targeting Latin America or Sub-Saharan Africa. You can be an independent filmmaker from the United States of America, and you can apply, and some projects already get support, and projects that had difficulties finding financement and money in the US. Our goal is clearly to support creators from all over the world, and especially from countries where it can be difficult to make films, whether it is for economical reason or for political reason, not only economical. It's a fund that is also working with the 59 co-production agreements that France has, and the last one we had signed was with North Macedonia, but also with Uruguay. We signed with Uruguay in 2019. And our aim is really also to promote and target young directors, and we are dedicating half of the budget to feature films. The budget is roughly 6 million euros a year, and thanks to the new plan we are putting in place as an answer to the COVID-19 situation, we are able to reinforce the total budget by 1 million a year for 2021 and 2022. So we are also hoping to strengthen co-production, international co-production, and to show signs of solidarity with countries like Latin America, where authorities and local governments might not have the means to put in place dedicated schemes to support the industry facing the crisis. So we are very happy that we could make our fund a little bit stronger. In terms of how do we work for, how do we select? So we do not select directly. We organize the funds, we fight for the budget, we organize the commission, but we have a commission of professionals, and they are deciding which projects are good enough to go in a plenary meeting, and in the plenary meeting, which projects are going to receive fundings later on. It's an international commission with film producers, film critics, film programmers, film distributors, film sale agents, and we are very proud of our commission. The president is Charles Tesson, who is also the head of the Film Critics Week in Cannes, and I'm sure you all know him. What do you need to do? So, of course, I mean, the commission is extremely sensitive to the quality of the script, the story. Is it original? How is it written? Is it cinematographic enough? And then on a second step, we will have also a look at the financial plan and the presentation that the producer did. So as I was saying, all countries are eligible. If the budget, the overall budget of the film is over 2.5 million euros, the film must be, it has to be an official co-production with France, either through one of our 59 bilateral agreements or through the European Convention that you all know. It's only Am I back with you? I should be back. Wait. Yeah, sorry. I think in France, the official institutions are not very keen on Zoom, so sometimes it's blocking. But it's working again. So it's only for feature-length films for theatrical release and not for TV. Am I back or yes?
Yeah, fine.
Okay. And it's for fiction, documentary, animation. The co-production between a company established in France and a foreign company has to be real. And if speaking of amounts that we give, the maximum amount is 250,000 for production, but the average amount is 130,000 for fiction and 65,000 for documentary. It can be 450,000 for a French-initiated film with a budget over 2.5 million. That's a new change we've made in 2019. And we also have a post-production fund that the average amount is around 40,000. And we are in the process of creating a third college. Within our commission, we have a college for first and second feature film, a second college for other films, and we are going to have a third college for post-production. I don't want to be too long because I'm sure you have many other questions, and I have a presentation that I can share with you later on if you need.
Thank you very much, Matthew. My next question is about which is the relationship between the foreign producer and the local producer. It must be a technical artistical co-production or a financing co-production. What is the relationship between the producers? Karin, please.
Yes, so the applications must be submitted by the Luxembourg co-producer. So in Luxembourg, it must be a co-production. So meaning that rights must be attached to it. So the Luxembourgish producer cannot be a service producer. That is not accepted. So it's, and it should be not only technical co-production, it should be an artistic and technical co-production. That's, and as said, what is really here not possible is service producing won't get any support.
And World Cinema, it's a technical artistic co-production too, or?
For the Cine World scheme, it's the only one where it's possible, as an example, to submit during production and not before production, and to ask only for post-production. So there, only technical services are possible. But it's only for the Cine World scheme, not for our normal scheme. So even if, for the Cine World scheme, as an example, if we get like the rough cut, if the selection committee gets the rough cut, and the support is asked for post-production. So what the selection committee is doing, they are screening the rough cut, and based on the material they got, they they support it, or they say a positive, they do a positive evaluation or not. So for the Cine World, it's possible that only the post-production is done in Luxembourg. And the difference is also for the Cine World scheme, for the normal scheme, the money, as I said, that you spend in Luxembourg is the support amount that you get. So you must spend €1 and you get €1. But in the Cine World scheme, it's only 65% that you have to spend in the Luxembourg economy, not 100%.
Thank you very much, Karin. Per, in Norway, Sorfond must be a technical co-production between the foreign producer and the Norwegian producer, and how it could be allocate the money. The local producer must spend all the money in Norway.
No, the Sorfond setup is quite easy. So it's a criteria that the main producer of the film needs to be established in one of our eligible countries. So in this case, an eligible country from Latin America. And the Norwegian part can only be a minority producer. So in Sorfond, that's the only way. The majority needs to be in the Latin American country, and the minority producer will be the Norwegian part. And we don't define sort of aspect of the cooperation, but we like to see that the Norwegian partner can contribute both technically and artistically, of course. But the money is, so the applications to Sorfond will be submitted by the Norwegian minority co-producer. But he or she, the minority producer from Norway, can only retain a maximum of 10% of the grant that we give. So 10% of a grant from Sorfond goes to the Norwegian co-producer as salary for his or her services. The rest, the 90%, goes to the main producer. And we have sort of an inverted spending requirement. A minimum of 70% of the grant that we give needs to be spent in your case, in a Latin American country. So we don't want you to come to Norway and spend your money. It's the other way around.
I understand it's not necessary a technical co-production
No.
agreement. Okay, thank you very much. Isona, in the World Cinema Fund, is necessary the technical or artistical co-production?
We wish, or we expect that it should be a creative and artistic co-production, but as we also support post-production, we are aware that sometimes it's very difficult for a co-producer from Germany, for example, stepping in a later phase just to be creative or involved in the artistic decisions. However, we have different schemes, and they have different rules. For example, for the World Cinema Fund Classic, in all the schemes that we have, the local production company is entitled to apply. And for example, for the World Cinema Fund Classic, if the project receives a positive funding recommendation, co-production with a German co-producer will be needed afterwards. We don't want the producers to spend energy searching for a German co-producer only to be eligible for us, because it's a waste of energy for everyone. So this cooperation comes afterwards. But the majority of the time, the projects getting the fund, they already have a relationship with German co-producers, and it's easy. And if not, then we can help introducing them to German co-producers that could fit into the project. At that time, we know the project very well, and we know the landscape of German co-producers, so we might be of help in that. For the World Cinema Fund Europe funding scheme, this is more or less the same, but instead of having a co-production with a German co-producer, we expect a co-production with a European-based producer from the media sub-program countries. And then we have another for the World Cinema Fund Africa. It's again the same set up with a German co-producer after the funding recommendation. And lately we started the World Cinema Fund ACP Complementary Fund. This is meant for co-productions with, or projects, sorry, from Latin America, Africa, Caribbean, and the Pacific. And we expect a co-production within the region, meaning that to get this fund, it will be necessary, for example, that two Caribbean or one Caribbean and one Africa countries are co-producing together.
What percent of the grant must be spent in Germany?
The financing of the grant of the World Cinema Fund must be spent in the region of origin of the project, and the German co-producer or the European co-producer can keep 7.5% of the funding amount for their own overheads.
Okay, thank you, Sona. Matthew, please.
Welcome.
I'm going to focus first on Aide au Cinéma du Monde, which is your main interest here. So it has to be a co-production between a foreign company and a French company, even though for some specific countries, especially in French-speaking Africa, or I mean the Central and West Africa, you can apply first without a French co-producer, but you will need one if at the end of the day you are eligible for a grant. We do have a limit of expenses in France. 50% of the subsidy minimum has to be spent in France. So it's it's not completely open to what you can do. If the budget is over 2.5 million, like I said, it has to be recognized. The film has to be recognized as an official co-production. What I want to say, listening to our friends from the World Cinema Fund, is like we have also various schemes that work differently. So we do also have a specific bonus for Africa, Caribbean, and Pacific that works with Aide au Cinéma du Monde for projects that are coming from these countries. Mainly for us, it's Haiti in the Caribbean and Africa. But we also have other schemes that work completely differently. We have a specific scheme for French-speaking Africa, where 100% of the grant has to be spent abroad, and 100% of the grant goes to the local producer and the local producing company. We also have bilateral funds with Portugal, with Tunisia, with Germany, with Italy, and some projects from Latin America can apply the specific bilateral funds, but the rules of eligibility, the rules of spending the funds are completely different. I mean, completely, they are different. It works differently. So that's why we usually do a lot of co-production network activities, atelier de coproduction, we call it. So we can work with the producers and be working with them on these various funds where the same film, the same project can apply to Aide au Cinéma du Monde and also apply to the French-Portuguese bilateral funds. So that all works together.
Okay, thank you. Per, I know that Sorfond is different. The process of the selection of the producer, of the local producer, is different of the rest of the funds. Can you please explain which is the process of the selection of the co-production of the co-producer, local co-producer in Sorfond?
How you mean how the projects from Latin America can find a Norwegian co-producer?
Exactly, because there is a double process, no?
Yeah, you need a Norwegian co-producer, a minority co-producer from Norway to apply Sorfond. And the way to find one would be, I can try and match you. I have a list of Norwegian producers, so I can provide you with a list, and I can try and point you as a filmmaker in the right direction after knowing a little bit more about your project. And apart from that, I can sort of also just recommend film markets internationally. That's where you meet the international industry in general and Norwegian co-producers. So basically it is a threshold to find a Norwegian co-producer. We know it's not that easy and we try to help, but it's also sort of only so much we can do. Because I'm mainly the only person working with the fund in doing this matchmaking. So it's sort of we know that it's difficult, but that's just the way it is. But for anyone interested, my email is open out there, and send me an email, and I'll try and connect the projects with a Norwegian co-producer.
Thank you. And a question for all the panelists. I want to know about the national and regional funds for minority co-production. Which is the position of Germany, of France, Luxembourg, Norway, in order to get more grants, funds, market money for minority co-production? Is better one region or for another region or land in Germany? Which is the position of the regional funds and national funds about minority co-production? Isona, for example, please.
Well, it's not that easy. I mean, that's why we receive so many applications for the World Cinema Fund, because I would say that it's the only one that don't have a somehow a requirement of regional spending. The regional German funds are independent, and they have different editorial lines, for example, and some of them are more minority co-production friendly than others. That's why many German co-producers, they have a base in 2 different cities, just in order to have access to these funds. Also, it's not very easy to change them. And they have a very, some of them, they have very strong regional spending requirements, or you need to demonstrate a strong regional impact, which is very difficult in the kind of projects, for example, that we receive. And to make them up just unorganically doesn't work at all. And I know that normally they give more money to less projects than others. For example, I know that in North Rhine-Westphalia, they have a very specific line for minority co-production, and in Hamburg-Holstein, they started, there's a new manager, and I guess they are more minority co-producers friendly. Otherwise, it's not so easy. And for example, for the Berlin-Brandenburg Fund, it's also difficult. Maybe in the audience there are some German producers. I have seen a couple of them. They can also share their experience. But in our case, or normally the projects that we support, they only have the World Cinema Fund as a part of German fund.
Thank you, Sona. Mathieu, please, in the regions of France.
We do have a whole network of film commission, almost 40 all over the country, including overseas territories like in the Caribbean or in the Indian Ocean. So the authorities, the local authorities, are pretty well structured, and they know how to welcome international films, whether it's a official co-production or whether it's a foreign film benefiting from the tax rebate system that we have in France. Some of the regions have developed a specific fund for minority productions, international co-productions, and so it depends. Paris Île-de-France, so the capital area, has developed a new fund that is pretty generous and is working on editorial that is a little bit similar to what Aide au Cinéma du Monde, what you can expect from Aide au Cinéma du Monde. And so we are in touch with them on a regular basis. We do have other areas like Nouvelle-Aquitaine, which is bordering Spain and País Vasco. So we do have also Occitanie, the area of Lyon, Rhône-Alpes-Auvergne. So you do have access as an international producer. If you work with a French co-producer, you have access also to regional funds and not only to public governments or centralized funds. And you do have also a network of French producers that are developing activities in cities like Marseille or Bordeaux or Lyon, a little bit like what the German friends were saying about Germany before.
Okay, one question about the financing plans of the application. What is the position of every fund in this issue? Is a gap financing? How must be it must be strong the previous finance of the project when the local producer or the foreign producer apply to the fund. Karin, please.
So, as I said before, in Luxembourg there are no regional funds. So there's only one fund. It's only the national fund.
Yeah.
And minority co-productions is that's what we support most. The Luxembourgish audiovisual industry grew up with with minority co-productions. But when we get an application via the Luxembourgish producer, 50% of the financing must be confirmed.
50%.
50, yes, 50%. It's a condition. When we get it, we need the confirmation of at least 50% for minority co-production.
Better, please.
For us, it's the same. We also have the same requirement of 50% of the total budget in place, confirmed at the time of applying. Obviously, we go through the financing plan and also look at sort of the strength of the partners involved in those 50%, but 50% is the formal requirement.
Okay, Isona?
Well, we are not a gap financing fund, but sometimes we are the last fund to step in. This is also because we can only sign a contract with a co-producer if the financing is closed, and we cannot wait for ages because the money, we can keep it in our accounts for a certain amount of time. We don't have any written requirement because we understand that the situation of the countries where the applicants are from, they have a very totally different situations, but we expect that at least they have already some financing in place and not only made of own investments or deferrals. So we expect that some fund is already done. And if it's 20-30%, we haven't written it because we know that sometimes it's not much, but it will be much faster. And then we take the decision considering the whole documentation that we have, and also knowing about which other funds they have applied for and when they are expecting the answers.
Matthew?
Yeah, no, we are not a gap financing fund, but it appears that sometimes we arrive and some other funds are already confirmed from local partners, European partners, but we are not. I mean, the spirit of the scheme is not to be a gap financing fund. What you need when you apply as a producer, you need to have the copyright ownership and you need to have the co-production agreement. So this is what we are going to check for the production support. But it's not working like you need to have 60% of the funding confirmed 100%. And then we work in different steps. So you have the first meeting where you know if your project has been approved for a grant by the selection committee. And then the producer decides when he wants or she wants this grant to be specifically notified. So you go to what we call comité de chiffrage, which is when we decide how much the grant will be.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I don't know, Alex, if we have questions for the audience. Perhaps the people wants to know.
Well, I think that everything is very clear because there are no questions in the chat right now. If you want, let's continue with the final comments of our speakers.
Okay, one more question. Please, do you know for another funds in Europe that you can recommend it to the foreign producers, from Latin American producers? Of course, from your country or from another European countries, North America, I don't know, another specific funds for minority co-production and for the Iberoamerica area. Do you know for Isona? Can you recommend it?
Well, we are not so many, unfortunately. I guess when I started in this world, it was the Göteborg Film Fund, but they disappeared. Of course, the colleagues of the Hooverballs are not here, but but okay, there is an opportunity to be taken, as well as ITFA Bertha Fund for documentary film. And I don't know, but well, I would say, for example, I don't know, I was thinking on Sundance or Tribeca, they have also interesting funding opportunity, also very selective and also very competitive. Help, Mathieu, Eric, I'm missing something. There is a Cuban fund, Norwegian Cuban fund, Eric?
As far as I know, no connection with Norway, but I heard earlier about a Cuban fund, yes. Apart from that, like we were having Miriam on board from Doha, so DFI could be interesting, obviously, to check out.
Vision Sud-Est.
Vision Sud-Est, of course.
Vision Sud-Est.
Oh yeah, you do have other funds in Switzerland, that's for sure. And I don't know, maybe for the audience, I don't think, I mean, if you want your film to be successful, I don't think it's all about the co-production funds or the funds that we are all here. I think it's broader than that. And you have a lot of ways to develop your project if you come from South America, whether it's like we have artists' residences, we have writing grants where we invite a writer or filmmaker to spend a few months in France. And so we have a network of residences to welcome them, so they can write on their project and they can develop the project. They can find possible producers that will be interested at a later stage. We also have a network of grants that we give to development platforms, like in Cartagena de las Indias in Colombia, that we have a partnership with. So you have many ways to develop your projects also before you apply with a French producer at Aide au Cinéma du Monde, or before you apply with a French-German co-production to the Mini Traité, the French-German bilateral fund. I think you need to build your project and be strong, and this you have other schemes that can build towards this success, and not only co-production schemes. But you were right, Izona, there is also funds in Switzerland. I think in Austria they have a few funds as well. Even the city of Wien, the city of Vienna is also quite generous on European co-production, if I recall well. So you have other possibilities.
And the last question, I want to know, what is your opinion about the future of the distribution of the contents for the Latin American area? Which is your opinion about the audience, about distribution, about exhibition, in theatrical, of course, of contents in post-pandemic moment? Izona?
Well, I can only say one
word.
I
know it's a generic question, but I want to know your opinion about what happened in the I hope in the next future. No.
I mean, I don't know. I don't have any magic crystal ball. I would say it's tough. It's going to be tough. So that is why it's always more important just to know your film very well and just to identify your audiences in early stages, so you have the capacity to start a dialogue with them and not waiting until the very last moment. I mean, platforms are going to play a new role. It has been accelerated through the pandemic. We want to keep on working on helping films to be released in theatrical, in cinemas, but I think we have to rethink again the role of cinemas as a space, and just to diversify the possibilities. As the better you know the market, the better the possibilities you have to show the films. But I'm afraid I don't have the solution. We won't have it in a very, very short term. Sorry.
No, you have the crystal ball. Please give us. Matthew, any? reflection about?
It's a difficult question, but I think the most important thing for us in Europe, and I'm sure Beatriz is also following that very closely, it's the AVMS directive and the way we're going to integrate platforms and so digital distribution of films in the whole ecosystem. And in France, we are very strongly monitoring this, and it should be ready finalized by July, so very short time in front of us, and we will have an obligation of investment of 20 to 25% for platforms towards European content, and we will have a sub quota for French-speaking films and production, and this is in terms of obligation for the platforms to invest in local production and in independent production as well. So this is a very ambitious directive that we are integrating in the legal framework of the French industry. And I think this will be very important in terms of exhibition of our content. And also we are finalizing a strong reform of our promotion and export associations, and we are putting together the audiovisual association that was in charge of the promotion for TV series and TV content, and Unifrance, who has been traditionally in charge of the film industry. They are merging into one group, one company, with the support of CNC, and the idea is also to give a broader spectrum for them and to include international co-production in the work they can do, to give a more diversified and a more real vision for foreigners about what is a French film. A French film is not only two lovers walking by the Seine River in the nice street of Paris. No, a French movie can also be in an Arabic language. A French movie can be directed by an Argentinian filmmaker and shot in Brazil. So we really want to show the strength and the diversity of the industry. And I also think that's how you renew your audience, and you can work to get new audiences, because I believe behind your question, the question is also how do we renew the audiences of cinema, that in all of our countries, we are getting a bit older and older when we go watch a film.
Mm. And we speak a lot about global platforms, but what happened with the national platforms, with the French platforms, German platforms? Which is the future of the national platforms, in your opinion? It would be a good way in order to show foreign contents, diversity contents. What's your opinion? Karin, Per, Matthew, all, please, all the people.
I think the whole question about the distribution is really a difficult one. Distribution was even difficult before COVID. And it's not only the future that will be difficult, it's also the present that is difficult. And of course, we have to include national platforms, but we have to include platforms in general, as it was said before, because we cannot rely only on cinema anymore, unfortunately. But we have to create also cinema events. So we have to work really a lot on promotion, define the audience clearly since its beginning. And then really the thing is, national platforms are important. That's for sure, but the international ones too. So I think the whole marketing and communication strategies, they have to change to be specific in one sense, really like always orientated by the work itself, but consider all the possibilities. I don't have the solution. I think nobody has the solution, but I think it will be tough times, honestly.
Okay. Per?
I don't know. I don't have much to add. I mean, as already been said, it was tough before COVID. It's gonna probably be even more tough now afterwards. But I think there will be new possibilities also. We have seen now during COVID how much we thought we had to do sort of on site that can be done digitally, and I think that can be a dangerous sort of knowledge for cinema, but it'll also push for new and inventive ways of screening also the smaller films on online platforms. But yeah, I don't hold the answers.
Beatriz, a question for you, because I know that ICAA is really preoccupied by the situation of the national platforms. You want to make a strong connections between labs and festivals, and which is your opinion about the national platforms in Spain? Because we of course we share the language with Latin America. Thank you.
Well, all my partners can explain it clearly. It's difficult to see the future, no? But it was difficult, the circulations of European films in Europe, and also of Ibero-American films in Iberoamerica. Even we share a language. It was very difficult, no? The films were the success of the films were in the main country and maybe 2 or 3 more. So in a way, platforms helps that, no? And we can watch films from all around the world. But I agree with Mathieu. We have to work in the promotion from a different point of view. We have to connect with the young audience, and I mean young, between 20 and 40, because we have made a study about the authors of the films and the series in Spain, and script writers and directors. More of 80% are between 40 and 60 years old. We have problems also with the creators and who is telling the stories, and we have to connect with the audience. So we have to work and with the production, with the promotion, and talking about Spanish platforms. You mean laboratories, or you mean like filming, for example? We have
filming,
Spanish great platforms for European films that is filming, but it has like 200,000 subscribers. Compare that with the bigger one. No, we have a problem with the concentration, but on the other hand, the figures in 2019 in Spain for cinemas was good. In a way, we had very good figures. So I'm optimistic in a way, because cinema has been always in a crisis. Still, theaters are important to recovering the investment. It's very important. Imagine without theaters, it is going to be tough for independent producers. So we have to work, and to find a way to support the independent sectors, distributors, producers, and for sure the ABS, the directive is going to be important. It's not easy because, for example, we share the directive with the Ministry of Economic Affairs, and it's a kind of duel. We have different perspectives, but we are going to fight till the end, to support, and the goals I tell at the beginning, to support creators and independent producers. But I'm also agree that we have to be quick and smart, and we have to be brave to make decisions also, and it's an opportunity no, now. And of course, in Europe, we have this, the funds for the recovery plan. In Spain, we want to use them, no, to foster the audiovisual sector. And from the Ministry of Culture, we are going to work to support the cultural diverse and yes, and I think we have to work together. All the people that are here, we are, I think, in the same path. So this kind of to share what we are working on, and it's very important, of course. And the forums that festivals like Malaga, the work Malaga is doing is great. And for example, from Spain, we want to support more this kind of forum, residencies, laboratories for creation, and also for the innovation and the development of projects, and of course and to be more connected to another economic sectors. For example, in Spain, the cultural field, the different literature and theater is not connected to cinema, and I think we need to reconnect, and also to reconnect culture field with another economic sectors. I think that's important. Yes.
Sounds really good. Sounds really good. Thank you. Matthew, please.
Sí, solamente una palabra porque me tengo que ir, que les esperamos en Cannes este año. So I hope you're all going to come in Cannes. I just want to tell you that we're working a lot with the government to make things possible, and I'm talking to non-European citizens so that they will be allowed to come to France and to participate in the festival. So of course, we are not expecting to have a huge Cannes in terms of audiences and professionals attending, but I'm hoping to have most of you, the funds, our Spanish friends, and hopefully some professionals from Latin America to attend. The selection will be fantastic, I have no doubt about this. And CNC is working on his own little corner. As you know, we have the beach there, and we want to organize some things about co-production. Así que bueno, esperamos que nos encontremos ahí, en Cannes.
Muchas gracias, Mathieu, por tu participación. Thank you very much. And I hope to see you in Cannes or in Malaga, perhaps. Why not?
Or in Malaga, with pleasure.
Yeah, it's
Thank
a pleasure.
you so much, everybody. Always. And if there is some extra questions, you can always forward to me or Magali, and we'll answer.
Thank you very much, Mathieu, for you. Bye-bye. Okay, perhaps it's the moment to close the roundtable. Thank you very, very much for all the people, for all the panelists, the audience, and tomorrow it will be another excellent roundtable. Annabelle, perhaps do you want to explain the roundtable for tomorrow?
Well, I don't want to. I don't want to destroy the script of Alex, and he is going to explain the roundtable of tomorrow. So, Alex, please.
Well, now, thanks to our speakers, thanks Luis Ángel, and to all of you for your participation. Informed you that tomorrow, Wednesday, May 5th, we will celebrate the Roundtable Resources and Talents in Central America and the Caribbean for International Co-Production, which will take place at 6 p.m. Spain time. Well, with that, we finish our inaugural roundtable. And well, thank you, everyone, and good afternoon. And good afternoon to everyone. See you tomorrow with the next activity in learning and training, resources and talent in Central America and the Caribbean for international co-production tomorrow at 6 p.m. Spain time. See you tomorrow.
Gracias a todos y todas por participar y por estar ahí al otro lado. Y nada, como bien dice Alex, mañana va a ser una gran mesa redonda. Juan Antonio, no sé si quieres despedir el acto, la mesa.
Sí, solo reiterar las gracias por la participación de todos. Ha sido enormemente interesante y desde luego creo que es un buen camino para seguir profundizando en temas de industria y mañana seguiremos en esa segunda mesa redonda como todos habéis comentado. Será un placer volveros a encontrar ahí. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sophie. Gracias, Sophie. Y Sona, muchísimas gracias por participar.
Gracias a todos.
Gracias a todos.
Thank you.
Gracias, Alex. Ani.
Gracias, Alex.
Y todos bienvenidos a esta cuarta edición del Málaga Festival Fund and Co-Production Event. Nos estamos viendo.
Chao.